3, 2, 1. Ladies and gents, it's my honour to bring you the Guardian Druid. Many of you have asked for this one, and it's my pleasure to bring it to you, as many cases are. When people start asking me for something which is as played as little as a Guardian Druid, I have to suspect some things, and I had heard rumours that people were doing things with Guardian Druids that no tank should be able to do, so it's kind of an interest to actually log on and give it a try. Now, let's get this out of the way then. There's something very, very wrong with the Guardian Druid in its current state. I'll talk over what the problems are, but it's almost laughable. And I did stream this, and of course the audience did respond in kind that this is just a complete joke. There's something seriously, seriously broken here, and it needs fixing. But it was very difficult to get over the comedy of how broken it is to get to the serious kind of feedback. So hopefully we can do that now. So what's broken? Your abilities have been greatly reduced, as you're probably well aware. You don't have swipe and stuff anymore. What you do have, basically, is mangle, lacerate, maul, and thrash. And that's about it. Now, one of the main issues that I have with this is Thrash has no cooldown, hits far too hard, and the fact that it's completely spammable means that there's not much else in using, there's not much reason to use anything else whatsoever while AoEing. There is just no point. You can just spam it continuously. Now, when an ability that does so much damage is AoEable, doesn't need any brain power going into it whatsoever, then you obviously have a problem there because you're not thinking about using it. Most tanks, when they come to AoE, they're considering how they're going to approach a pull. It's kind of the interesting part of playing a tank, especially when you're doing some AoE. Do I drop a Death and Decay here? My Death and Decay is on cooldown, which can often happen. How do I deal with this? Do I just go in with a Blood Boil? Do I do whatever? Am I going to use that rune in the case of a Blood Decay? And similar with warriors with Thunderclap and stuff. Now, short cooldowns are fine. Short cooldowns are fine, and that's no problem for me whatsoever. If it has no cooldown at all, and you can just keep pressing it and pressing it and pressing it all the goddamn time, then you run into this issue that your brain drifts because there's nothing else for you to do there. There's not much point in trying to rope around lacerates or try and do something interesting like that or do anything else whatsoever. It's simply a case of being a pointless spell. It needs to have a cooldown attached to it in order for us to even consider using our brain to think of doing something else. When it comes to AoE, our button, we shouldn't just be stood there going thrash, slash, 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 slash. Oh, look, I won. It's a very, very poor design choice. I've got to say, I was completely surprised to see this. The next thing that's a problem, that I'm finding a problem, in my personal opinion, is the fact that rage is far too plentiful. It was something I commented about on the Prot Warrior, is that I never seem to struggle to use my active mitigation abilities. It's even more pronounced on the Guardian Druid by a long, long way. Using your rage is just a 2-second use of 60 rage and you're coming back up to 100 rage straight away. What you'll notice throughout this dungeon is, one, I'm significantly not using my active mitigation cooldowns because I don't need to. I take so little damage, I dodge so much that it's just, I'm not taking any damage at all, really. And I'm getting my rage back so quickly that I was, in fact, on some occasions just spamming very, very large heals. Our Frenzied Rejuvenation, currently at level 100 in very basic gear with not particularly high resolve, is healing for about 62 to 70k, and I very rarely ever needed to use that heal for more than 5k. And that's a really sad state of affairs because your rage essentially stays at 100 and there's not much you can do about it. You could mindlessly spam away, don't get me wrong, you can mindlessly spam away the rage just for the sake of spamming it, but you shouldn't have access to it. The point of our active mitigation cooldowns is that we are actively using them in order to get a benefit out of them. We're supposed to wait. We're supposed to be restricted in some manner, so we can't just spam them. That is the entire idea behind them, is not to be able to spam and spam and spam, because then it's pointless. It might as well be doing it all the time. I might as well have a button that is like conversion, which is just a hot, and I just have this hot, because otherwise I can just use it anyway, and pressing it is completely pointless. The cooldown on Savage Defense could also do with being higher. I think that should certainly be higher and give us more of an option to do that. And Frenzied Rejuve needs reworking. Of healing yourself anyways, I know that's kind of the... It's the way it's going in Warlords of Draenor with tanks, is to heal yourself. It just doesn't make any sense to me personally, and Frenzied Rejuve healing for so much with so little resolve is going to end up being really awkward when we're actually in raiding gear, when we're actually in PvE gear. Remember, we're still wearing PvP gear in these tests, and it's going to work out very, very strange. The final thing I think really needs to be looked at is the amount of cooldowns that the Guardian Druid has, especially low timer cooldowns. So you've got things like Bark Skin. On top of that, you have Bristle Fur, which is a 50% damage reduction with only a 1-minute cooldown. You then have Might of Ursoc. You then have Savage Defense, Survival Instincts on top of that. Berserk is a survival cooldown as well. There's far too much going on here, and then mixing in your active mitigation abilities, it's too much. We can just prevent far too much damage consistently, making us supremely powerful. The amount of stuff that I'm actually coping with here is unfathomable to other tanks. These pulls that I'm showing you right here should not be possible. I should be dead. I should be easily dead, and it should be the case, but it is not. It's just not the way it's working. And the only way I'm doing this is just pressing thrash and stuff, essentially. And you can see my rage bar just at 100%. My health's at 100%. So I don't even need to use my active mitigation in circumstances that other tanks are easily dying in. It's crazy what's going on right now with the Guardian Druid. But I tried to give you some accurate feedback of what I believe. We need a couple of extra buttons. Pulverize, I would like to see baseline. That would be very, very cool if Pulverize was baseline and gave us some sort of benefit to using it, so it's worth tracking, it's worth being involved with. I would like to see something along those lines. Tooth and Claw still remains overly active in terms of how often it procs. It can proc before Maul finishes its cooldown, which is only like 3 seconds, I believe, and therefore it's too fucking much, let's be honest. It's too crazy. And overall, we need to bring down the survivability of the Guardian Druid. It needs way less rage, it needs more time to think about what it's doing, and certainly way less spammy. Way, way less spammy, in my opinion. It feels idiot mode, is how it feels. In my true, honest opinion, it feels idiot mode. It shouldn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like I'm tanking at all. It feels like I'm just a magnet for mobs, and that's it. I just glue them to me. And more often than not, it's the group that's in danger while I'm perfectly fine in nearly all situations. Kind of sad, kind of surprised it was allowed to go this way. That's the general initial feedback. I'd like to see some reworking on this so we can try it again. Right now, it's not something I particularly want to play because it's very boring. Very, very boring. There is really no reason to get any enjoyment out of playing this class, certainly for me, because I don't do anything. If it's AoE in a 5-man, I'm just pressing thrash and I'm winning. I'm not dying. I'm just perfectly fine all the time. And if it comes to single targeting, all I have, unless I spec into Pulverize, is Mangle, Lacerate, and Maul. That's 3 buttons. 3 buttons. That's insane that I only have options of 3 buttons. I could throw a thrash on top of there for shits and gigs, but come on. This is not the way it should be. I have more cooldowns than I have DPS abilities. What's that? That's a bad ratio to have. I have more survival cooldowns than I do DPS abilities. And that situation is not cool. Not cool at all. Alright guys, so there's a quick look at the Guardian Druid. I hope you're not too disappointed. Well, this is beta. This is what it's for. Let's get some feedback going. Do you guys like this? I would like to know. Do you guys like this style of play? Because I just can't see how. I can't see how anybody could play this for an extended period of time without just watching Netflix, quite frankly. Alright guys, I'll see you later. Bye.